Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Icon. Thank you so much for checking out another episode of Esports Analysis. Today, we are on board with ENVOY as the Chicago Huntsmen go to battle against the Minnesota ROKKR. So, just real quick, before we get into the actual analysis here, first thing that I'll say is that over the course of these 5 Hardpoint maps, Chicago won 2 of them. They won the Hackney, and I think they won the Ramaza, and they lost the other 3. So, Minnesota ended up winning this scrim in terms of the hardpoint maps. Domination was a little bit different. I don't really break down domination too much just because, well, we've talked about it 1,000 times. The strategy is not just really quite as involved there as it is here in hardpoint matches. But other thing that I'll say is this weekend, the vast majority of the top teams are at this Toronto home series. So Atlanta will be there, Dallas, Florida, Chicago, Minnesota will be there, Seattle will be there, Toronto, and I think OGLA is the last team that'll be there. So this has major playoff implications based on what round bye certain teams will get. We'll be breaking all of that down both on my channel and at twitch.tv/IconNationYT as the week progresses. Every single day before the tournament starts, I'll have a preview on my YouTube channel. I'll have a preview on my Twitch. But without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's get into the analysis here. If you look in the bottom left, it is 61-7, and that spells disaster if you either play for Minnesota or you're a coach for Minnesota or you're a fan of Minnesota. This is not how you want this map to start, right? So let's go ahead. Let's bring up our mini map just to kind of break things down, where we're at, where we started, and how we progressed from here. So Chicago got this beneficial right side spawn. So as it started off into P1, Minnesota got this spawn, and as they went into P1, obviously they sent a couple people mid. You saw ENVOY get a kill or 2 mid, but if you're Minnesota, you really do want to try to track into P1 so that you can get time inside of P1. If you can get time inside of P1, then if you're not set up for P2, as Chicago is, right now it has transferred to P2, and Chicago's inside of P2, and this is one that's really hard to break. It's the hardest hard point in the entire game, but we have seen teams be successful after this, right? If you don't have the P2 hill, and this is what New York was able to do when they faced off against Chicago, New York basically just set up a spawn trap. So as P2 was coming to a close, they just spawn trapped Chicago back in this spawn back here and just didn't let them get close to P3. And that's how New York was able to beat Chicago. I know we're getting entirely off topic here, but I just want to make sure you guys know that it is possible to counter this as long as you get time inside of P1 and you get time inside of P3 as it rotates, and that's just not what we are seeing right now. You can see ENVOY coming in for a little bit of a pinch there, and I don't like in that scenario that he was pushed out so far, because when everybody died inside of hill, him being out so far and trying to get kills. Whoops, audio got a little bit loud there for a moment. But him being pushed out and trying to get kills, all that did is that when his teammates went down, it caused them to spawn mid-map with him. So in the end, it's not that big of a deal, because now if you're Chicago, you can just implement the strategy that we were just talking about, right? There's 2 seconds left, and now you can just cut off forklift at the top side of the map. ENVOY ended up dying there, but I love the fact that they're spawning over here inside of P1. Biggest reason why that's such a good thing is because that controls Minnesota's spawn as it rotates out to P3. So let's go ahead, pause. Let's draw this so everybody's aware of what's happening here. So as it rotated from P2 to P3, Chicago was getting this P1 spawn. And essentially, if they have someone top AC, which they did, and they're able to push out over towards the top side of the map, that's going to put Minnesota way back in this far back right spawn. So as they try to progress, they have to try to get through a couple of these choke points here in order to even get close to mid-map to approaching P3. Now, as we're looking at ENVOY right here, it does look like he's being pushed from behind. Only way that would happen is if they gave up the push through the bottom part of the map. So we'll see what happens here. But if you're Chicago, you want to keep those back yellow spawns, and you want to continue holding that back side of the map as it rotates on from here. But without further ado, guy, the best thing about scrims is that we can actually listen in. We can hear what Chicago is saying. I like this. You guys can hear, and I can still pause the video and break things down when I feel it's most important. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's turn up the volume. Let's listen into the rest of this first set of rotation as it's about to rotate from P3 over to P4.
get the sign.
One shot.
I'm getting in there. I'm getting in there.
One shot.
I need a bottom green. Be careful.
Yeah, I'm going to new too.
Push all the way.
Bottom green dead.
Nice.
I need a graffiti. Be careful.
Blue van,
One's
blue van,
graffiti.
blue van.
I hit him with a nade and this was you.
I hit another
No,
one.
that's not him. That's him. Good job.
They still spawn in blue van.
One and new. We got one and new. I knew
Yeah,
it.
I'm helping you.
New dead. New dead. New dead.
Yeah, we should. We should.
Get in time.
I'm getting on the door. Yeah, I'll get it.
I needed their door. I needed
I
their
went
door.
top green. I went top green.
Up in graffiti.
They're all going through mid.
Hey, it's graffiti. Graffiti.
They're all going through mid right now,
Look
guys.
at tools with you. Team shot with me.
Yeah, got you.
You ain't
I have
graffiti
graffiti.
wall. I got 1 week.
I'll see graffiti
I
wall.
didn't
I
stun
think
it.
graffiti.
I'm
I need
holding
help.
right.
I need help.
I have your help.
Coming
Tools.
from top green. I'm coming from top green.
Ever help person?
Pushing you. Pushing you.
I got
Tools
one
dead.
shot. You see
My
my
help.
nice.
I have no ammo.
Jump. I'm here with you.
I think one got through. Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
top
that's what.
slant, dude.
Look at this
Nice.
one for P1.
He's
Yeah, one middle,
hitting
middle.
bottom green. Hitting bottom green.
Middle dead.
Top AC, go to X.
So just to kind of recap so far, even if Chicago gets no more points on this first set of rotations here, it's already been a success, right? They're already up 134 to 45. They basically have a 90-point lead. And although you would have liked to have held down those spawns on the left-hand side of the map, even if they don't get another point, they're still going to be up by 40 points as it enters the second set of rotations here. So if you're Chicago, sure, you want to try a time or two to push in and get contested and possibly flip spawns. But if you're not able to do that, then all you have to do is just hold down the right-hand side of the map, and as it goes back to P1, you'll be in the exact same scenario as you were to start this map, and you'll have those beginning spawns for P2. So we'll see if they're able to push through here, but even if they're not, it's not all that big of a deal because they can just regain as it rotates into the second set of rotations.
Top right again. Top right again.
That one's hot.
They're spawning out. They're spawning out. They're spawning out. Spawning out. Oh.
Yeah, no, they
Spawning
spawn
out.
there. One's top L. No, he's bottom now. Bottom.
I got stunned.
I'm going back.
Hey, second, just play out, guys.
Remember, green side
My
weak.
God.
I'm not.
One's bottom L already.
I'm
He's
going.
in.
I got him.
I got one.
That's on. One top three. Top three.
third.
Dead.
That's two.
Getting out of here. I'm getting out of spawn.
Yeah, hold
You
green.
just spawn in front of me.
I got one
Camper.
green.
Let me just take this and pause this real quick because there's just some small things that are happening right there that I want to make sure that we understand. So currently, Minnesota has control of P5. There's 20 seconds left. It looks like they're probably going to get these last 20 seconds, but if you're Minnesota, you know you have to rotate out because the way you come back is sure you want to contest or get time inside of P1, but that P2 is the hill that you really have your eye on. So at the current point in time, the top side of the map up here was being blocked off by Chicago. So the one thing they were missing when Envoy died over here towards top L, there was somebody pushing through P1, which is why when Envoy came up off of spawn, he spawned back here kind of by P4 by forklift. So when he comes up off of spawn, that immediately tells him that something's up over towards P1 because somebody's pushing through. So if you're Chicago, the biggest thing that you're worried about right now is just give up those last 20 seconds inside of P5. Just rotate over here and just make sure that Minnesota is not able to rotate through and get those back P2 spawns. Let's go ahead. Let's get back in and listen in.
They got me. They got me. Two of them.
I'm top L.
Three of them. Justin is. Oh, we got our X. What's going top three?
I'm looking top L. Nothing top L.
I give a green side.
I have your mid deal.
In the low up.
I look mid with you.
Low up, weak.
Top L dead. I'm just
Low
staying
up,
alive.
two low up,
I
two
don't
low
think
up,
hitting
two
me.
low up.
Anything hit green.
I'm challenging.
I have
Low
your
up,
graphics right here.
Yeah, nothing here.
Top AC, top AC.
Obviously weak, guys.
Dead. Another one
Crossing.
inside.
You ready to
They're
push?
just one.
I got him.
Holy
Go.
cross, guys.
Go.
Holy cross. Holy cross.
Got him.
Jump set.
From the scout.
It could be top L.
From the other side.
I'm
You want
top
green
L.
crate
Flashing
one
green.
shot. Green crate one shot. He's super weak.
Green crate dead.
One bottom yellow.
There's
Assault,
two more.
bottom yellow.
Yeah, two more. I'm back.
I'm looking
top
bottom
Top
L.
green,
Go.
go.
Middle.
Preston, look right. Oh,
Mid-
fuck
mid-
me.
mid-
Someone
green,
flood in.
top
Flood
green.
in when they can.
Top
I'm watching the
L
right, I'm
dead.
watching the right cross, watching the right cross.
You-
I
Matt,
got
you
it,
have
I
to
got
flood
it,
in,
I
Matt,
got
flood
it,
in,
I
Matt,
got
flood
it,
in.
I got it.
Top L,
Oh, one shot behind middle, top AC, top AC.
Top green window, Ace.
Our door.
Two of them.
Did it beat
Keep
him?
going. They keep going. The other guy.
Another one inside.
We
Inside.
still got top green.
Stay
Oh
look.
my god. I
None of my
just
hip
hit
fires
fire.
hit him.
Hip fire.
I got one there side, one shot, assault.
Look at Ace. Yo, he could. Yeah. Flash,
Ace him
flash,
dead.
flash.
He's dead. He's dead.
What's
I'm
up,
going
they're
AC.
dead, and they're
Sliding
white
in.
girls, they're
Oh
white girls.
fuck me.
They're white
Oh, you're
girls.
coming in. My bad.
Low L dead.
They're holding on them.
Two on time. Two more on time.
got
Their
it.
side
I
too.
got
Their
it.
side.
One more at a
Sure.
time.
One more there.
That's fine.
I'm pushing on left. I'll do it.
Midding door.
I got one
Hold
there.
right. Hold right.
Yo, one's in the middle.
Middle, mid, yeah.
They're stacked.
All right.
Let's go
Four,
to cap.
Alex.
Sarge,
Four,
let's go
Alex.
scout. I need our
Need our fork.
Alex right side, Alex right side.
pocket weak.
I got
Pocket
Alex.
weak.
Another one on the right. Another one
Pocket
right.
dead.
Our door. I'm one shot.
Our door dead.
Nice job.
I'm in
One
first
middle.
right now. I'm in first right now, guys.
Let me top green. This guy's like going top green.
I spawned tires.
Yeah, one's green to me.
Top green, top green.
Our stack already. Top cut. Top
Okay,
cut.
Alex,
Top,
Alex,
top.
And really, I will say that this so far has just been a perfect hold from Chicago, right? As they were inside of P1, Envoy did a nice job of getting that initial time inside of P1, but that was the pressure that Minnesota should have put forward in the first set of rotations, right? At the end of the first set of rotations in P1, it was like a 50-7 ball game, so they didn't do enough of a job of getting time inside of P1 or at least contesting as much as they could. Second set of rotations, Minnesota did a much better job, but now they're down by 100 points, and you can see that Envoy is leaking out right here, trying to capture spawns for P3, P4, and P5 on the left-hand side of the map. So overall, pretty decent job by Chicago. Let's see how they finish this one out here.
Flank me, bottom green.
Hill got me.
Hill dead.
Yeah, two,
Aw,
two, two.
bottom
Top AC.
P5.
Yo, two first.
He's camper right now.
He got me slant.
Yeah, middle, middle.
All right, let's drop nades on Hill. Let's drop nades on Hill.
Yeah.
Some one
I
shot,
got
one shot,
Hill
middle.
dead.
AC weak, top AC weak. One shot,
Middle
top
dead.
AC dead.
Oh, 30,
Nice.
30.
They have trophies. They have
Ow.
trophies.
I think last guy's first.
Nade,
top.
yeah.
Gurry, he's
Fourth,
four
fourth,
clip.
fourth, dead, dead, dead.
That hill?
Dead off top.
Nice. I'm
One
looking
top L,
graffiti.
one top L.
I have graffiti.
I don't think
Need
it's-
someone to get time.
Slant, slant.
Yeah, I'm getting some.
Getting top L, I'm getting
Slant
top L.
dead.
One
I
shot.
still have your
Green,
slant.
green, green, dead.
Yellow, top yellow, top yellow, top white.
Dead, I'm dead, I'm dead.
I got
Hey,
another
got
one.
me,
Top
I
yellow,
got
one shot. Top yellow, one shot.
He's in hill and one top white. Top white.
One shot,
Top white, top white. I got one. Another one. Top P5, right?
Oh, dead.
Nice, very
Next one
Five,
first,
one
I
shot,
think?
five, one shot, you don't have
I
time.
got
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
they
yeah,
still
yeah,
spawning
yeah,
there.
yeah, it's okay, it's on you, set.
Yeah, one's
Okay,
bottom
come new,
one.
come new.
out of the hill.
One shot middle.
I pick graffiti, I pick graffiti.
I got another one. I'm pushing out their side.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
tools.
go for it, go for it. I'm hopping over.
Tools, tools,
Map
tools,
split
there's
here.
two tools, they're buddy tools.
Got one.
Weak.
Another one here. Another one here.
Flanking tools.
Our side tools, our side
Envoy's just going off. These are
Nice.
just
I'm
the
playing their door,
crazy
I'm playing their
plays
door.
that he makes that
I'm
makes him
named
such
Pastor.
a pivotal part of any
yeah,
roster.
I need
Morgan.
dagger tools.
I'm getting top. I'm getting top green.
I stun. Oh fuck, I'm dead.
They're gonna be all tools.
Is your graffiti
One
already?
middle, one
Just-
shot, two middle, one shot, two tools.
Oh
one
my
shot,
God,
three
it's
tools,
fun.
three tools, three tools. Nice.
Unbelievable there. It looked like down towards the stretch there, Envoy went in like an 8 or 9 streak, and he really did. I mean, he almost single-handedly, think about how many kills he got in and around the hill that just kept Minnesota off of time and kept them away from putting pressure inside the hill. It's a really nice individual job out of him. As we look at the scoreboard here, even though he led the team in kills, he had the least amount in terms of score. So he was 28 and 19, but Scump had a minute. Pristini had a minute inside the hill, as did Arcides. So Scum played fairly well. That's a big thing going into this weekend because last event, Scum didn't have the best event, so we'll see if him and Envoy can turn it around going into CDL Toronto. Underneath, looked like Silly was 15 and 27, and unfortunately, we can't see the other death scores down here, but as we can tell overall, they just didn't quite match them in terms of map control or in the slaying department, which led to a 100-point victory here for Chicago. So if you guys are new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I put out brand new videos like this covering the Call of Duty League every single day. With the last tournament upon us, you don't want to miss my coverage up and through that last event, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Any comments on this one or anything moving forward, again, leave them down in the comments. I love the interactions. Leave a like, and with that, guys, thank you so much. I will catch you in tomorrow's upload.